All right, Transformers fans, thank you so much for joining us. We have our next panel, which is a Q&A panel, which means you get to come up to the mic and ask your questions. And then, so if you want to know something, you get to ask. So let's give a big TFcon welcome to our guests. We're going to start with our friend Laurie Faso. Jerry Hauser.
That was less than Laurie's, but that's okay.
I think they're going to peak on this one.
Yeah. Danny Mann. And Paul Eiding. All right, friends, because this is a Q&A panel, we want to get started by asking you, how did you get started in your career, and how did you come to work with Transformers?
Who wants to jump in? You want to start?
Like the rest of these guys, I was the guy in 4th grade who sat in the back of the class and made all the noises like this and imitated the teacher's voice and all that. That's who all these guys are. And we got thrown together. We always liked doing voices for foolishness, and then at some point realized, well, maybe we could actually do this and pay the rent. And it sort of happened. It was pretty lucky. Transformers was an audition. At the time, this was 80-something, 1980-something. Mm-hmm. You auditioned, and they said, okay, good, or go away, or come back. And then Wally Burr would call you in whenever he needed a voice for a spear carrier or something, and turned into this whole thing. So that's how I got started.
Well, I started out as an actor, or probably 10 years, maybe, 10, 15 years before I got involved with animation and voiceover. So I started out as an actor doing films and doing TV, and then transitioned over into doing voice. And unlike you, unlike Danny, who does a million voices, I sort of do me. It's just, I mean, I can go kind of far away from my voice and not sound like me. Otherwise, I sort of sound like me. So I wasn't the one in the back doing those sounds because I didn't have a lot of sounds. But again, I was just an actor in town, and they held auditions for, at the time it was for Transformers, and also G.I. Joe was going on. And both the Hasbro shows, I think, and Wally Burr was doing them, and they had the casting session, and at the time, I mean, no one knew it would become what it's become, nor did we. And so it was going in, and I remember being so excited that I just had a job to do, so it was really that way. So the way I began with the show was just a normal audition that they would have all the time for different episodic things, different series, and I got a part in it, which was thrilling at the time, never knowing, as I said, it would turn into this. And thank you all for being here, by the way. There you go.
So, kind of an oddball situation. Not many people talk. You've heard of nepotism, or father having a business and son take over the business. Acting is not kind of something like that. But I come from an acting family. My uncle Paul Mann was an actor and a director, and my father Larry, may he rest in peace, did voices and on camera as well. Larry was the voice of Yukon Cornelius in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which was, of all the things he did in his career, that's what he got remembered for. But growing up, there were voices around the house. When we got read stories, he read all the different voices. So I just grew up hearing that and thinking that's what people do when it was just in your house. So I always had it in my blood. I ended up going into production work for several years, but at a certain point, guys like Peter Cullen, I worked on different shows with him and whatever, and at a certain point I just started realizing, like, God, I've never done anything with that, and I really like to. So I ended up sort of by fluke at a party meeting a woman named Vanessa Gilbert, who became a big voiceover agent in town. And she said, I'm starting up this voiceover agency and blah, blah, blah. Do you want to come and hang out and work out? And she liked me. She said, do you want to do this? And the first thing I read for, I booked a series, and I went, this is great. It never happened again, but I thought that was Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats. It was like, just like, you know, on a first try, 65 episodes. I said, you know, I think I could do this. And fortunately, it worked out nicely. Transformers was really strange because it had been around, and most of the guys on it were all these big, military and big, and suddenly this character came along that was more philosophical and more esoteric, and Lightspeed. It was like, so I read for it and got this thing. And I said, wow, I'm a Transformer. This is good. I think my guy lasted 4 episodes, and I did a couple of other ones because they always have you read something else, and I thought I got let go because my toy didn't sell. But it was just people, they were trying stuff and whatever, and but that's how I ended up in Transformers. And then when these things came along, I said, no one's going to remember my 4 little episodes, and people come up and, oh my God, and the picture and this, and I never realized at the time how much it meant to fans. And so this has just been a joy to just see the faces and sign stuff. And a lot of these guys did way more episodes, but it was just to be part of the family's been pretty cool.
If you think this means a lot to them, you have no idea what Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats mean to them.
Well, and Ferdinand the duck in Bay. I mean, please see my IMDb page on the way out. But thank you guys so much for coming. This is really cool.
Paul, you're up, Paul.
Okay, I started out my whole life until I was in college and in the military was music. I wanted to be a musician. I was a bass player and sang. And it wasn't until I did a couple of shows in high school, then I did a show in college, plays. But it wasn't until I was in the military and I met a gentleman who was in the singing group that I was in, who was a professional actor. And we would read plays after we performed, because when you're performing, you get back to the barracks, you're not sleepy, the adrenaline is still pumping. And we read a play called Zoo Story, a 2-character play, a great play. And when we were finished, this man, John Hancock, was his name.
You are old. Wow.
Wow. John was also about 6'4", an African-American gentleman with an incredible voice. When we finished, he said, "This is what you should be. You're an actor." So I said, "Oh, okay."
That's a great impression of him.
Thank you. I got out of the service and started doing theater, community theater, that sort of thing. And it was also a nice way to meet girls, I'll be honest. And fell in love with it. So I was an actor, became an actor as my only source of income in 1975 doing improv. And a couple times somebody would come to the theater and say, we need somebody to do a voiceover for a training film. Or there's a commercial. Can you guys do some improv for this commercial? And I started getting the jobs. And did that for 10 years in Minnesota, then moved out to LA. And like everybody else, the Transformers, I got my start in animation in Los Angeles because I did a play where I played 3 characters. I played an African manservant, intentionally a white man portraying an African manservant, a Cockney soldier, and a 5-year-old girl. The most unattractive child ever.
Jerry and I read for that.
It's called Cloud 9. It's a great play. And Gordon Hunt, who was then the casting director at Hanna-Barbera, came to the show and saw that I did different voices and brought me in, and I started working there. And then I had an audition for the Transformers, just like everybody else. And they showed me the one sheet, the audition sheet, and they said they wanted a kind of an absent-minded professor sort of character. And so I came up with the voice for Perceptor. It wasn't based on C-3PO or anything else. It was just what I saw in my head for the character, and got lucky. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Did you ever play another 5-year-old girl?
No, but it was weird because when I was studying to be this 5-year-old girl, I would go to playgrounds.
TMI! TMI!
Because I had to run. I had to run like a little girl.
Still does.
And I remember at one point my wife said, "You know, honey, maybe I'll go with you." Because it might look a little weird with this guy sitting there watching the children play without a child. That was before we had our own kids. Anyway, so that's how it all happened.
I swear, officer, I'm studying.
Right, I'm studying.
Yeah, get in the back of the car.
All right, fans, if you have a question, please step up to the mic.
Hi, everyone. Personally, who is each of your favorite characters, just in general, one character that you personally haven't voiced out of any Transformers?
Favorite character, favorite Transformer that we haven't played?
Has but a Transformer as opposed to any character we've ever played.
Are you saying our own?
No, in general. So,
Paul's character.
like, would it be
That's
Optimus?
that's a really interesting question.
I didn't study for this.
I mean, I would love to sound like Peter Cullen.
Yeah.
So I'll go with Optimus.
Optimus, okay.
Absolutely.
Starscream. I did a character in the GoBots, a nasty word, called Scorp, who transformed into a scorpion and he flew. It was very cool. And somebody brought me are you here? Who gave me a sketch. I saw some of his work on, I don't know if it was, it may have been on Twitter. I saw some of his artwork that he was doing. I said, "Man, you got to do a Scorp," because he was doing another GoBot. And by golly, he came today and brought me this beautiful sketch of my character that I did. Wow. And he was kind of a Starscream character. He was
What was that voice?
I don't know if I can do it anymore. It's one of those high, screechy, you know, you want to hurt the person, you know. But that would be, what Chris Latta did was amazing. Anyway.
So mine's going to be the worst answer, is that I truly don't know the series well enough to know which of the characters.
Peter Cullen.
Peter Cullen or Frank Welker would be a good place to start, but I guess from a practical point of view, whoever was on the series longest, I guess, would be the way to go. But and if I had to steal one out of which one of my characters, somebody asked me this when I was signing earlier, and just
Say Sandstorm.
I'll take Sandstorm for $100.
Oh, please, don't even.
But no, I don't. But Ferdinand the Duck in Babe was my best experience, and the one that's probably dearest to my heart over the years, just from all that other stuff.
For Transformers, I'm with Danny. Anything that Frank Welker did.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Thank you.
And thanks for going first. Nobody ever wants to.